Welcome to Hey Soul Sister, the podcast for women ready to embrace greater joy, freedom, and a soulful life. This is your space for deep conversations, meaningful stories, and inspiring guidance to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe, follow, like, and share. Hey Soul Sisters. In this episode, I have special guest Jaimie Abbott. Jaimie is a powerhouse of courage and authenticity. From her military deployments to working with the United Nations in Jamaica, stepping into politics and starting her own business, she's done it all while juggling motherhood and a major weight loss journey. In this episode, Jaimie gets real about the highs and lows of facing judgment, especially from women, and how she learned to drown out the noise and live boldly on her own terms. So, Miss Jaimie, you've had a really big and diverse career. Were there early signs that you'd end up on such a bold and inspiring path?
Oh, that's so lovely. I feel like we're on 60 Minutes, by the way. So yes and no, but I think my motivations have changed along the way. So full disclosure, growing up, I always wanted to be famous. Like that was the sole motivator, whether it be as a TV newsreader or a famous singer. I did singing and dancing growing up. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence. That was the key, especially in my teenage years.
Yeah.
I was in a local singing and dance troupe here in Newcastle where we're recording this today. And I would, get so much confidence that I started emceeing. And then I thought, I want to do journalism. And still, I think the time I got to uni, I wanted to still be famous. And then I got a touch of that fame. I mean, I was a journalist in a really small town in Tamworth in New South Wales of Australia. And I didn't like the fame. I didn't like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just remember it just wasn't what I thought it would be. You know, you're constantly being scrutinised. You can't just be a normal 20-year-old. And I was reading the news in this town and I can't just go and drink and then pass out in the gutter like you might want to do when you're 20. And so, and then people at the supermarket were looking in my basket as to what I was buying. And I know this is only small scale, so I can only imagine the big time celebrities, how uncomfortable that would be. Yeah. And I didn't really like that part. And so I morphed. I then got into politics and then thought, what's the next thing? And they just kind of opened up a whole heap of doors from that journalism, political experience, then the military. And it was just saying yes to every opportunity that came along from that part on. And that kind of shaped my career. And now the decisions I make are based on my family. Yeah. So I think the motivations have changed and I've just pivoted along the way. But it definitely started with wanting to be famous, if that's completely honest.
Do you know what I love? I remember years ago seeing Jane Turner, who's a lady that plays Kath in Kath and Kim. I saw her years ago on Sale of the Century.
There's a blast from the past.
I know. And she went on Sale of the Century as a contestant before she was famous. And they actually said, they say a little line about, this is Jane. And what they said about her was Jane just wants to be a little bit famous. And she became famous.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So that was her full intent right back then.
I know.
And she went on a game show to become famous.
Sale of the Century. And then she was on, was it like a comedy company?
Oh, yes. I remember that. With Farley Mole and all that. Yes.
Yeah. I remember. I think that's when I first saw her. Yeah, but I love that that she followed through with that, became famous. Yeah. And when I first met you were going into politics.
Oh, it was that long ago. I know we've known each other for years, but I couldn't pinpoint at that moment when we met. Yeah.
And I remember meeting and talking to you at different networking events. And I remember being so impressed because you seemed really confident and really together. And then I remember you were holding your own networking dinners.
That's right. Dames Who Dine.
Yes, Dames Who Dine.
You came along. I remember that.
And your mum was there. And I was chatting to your mum, Rosalind.
Yes.
And I said to her, I was like, Jaimie's amazing. Has she always been like this? And your mum was like, she's always been like this.
Oh, I should have a good memory to even remember my mum's name. Wow. Are you one of those people that remembers things like that? Because that's gifted. That's gifted.
Do you know what's funny? If you ask the girls I went to school with, they all say that. They go, Mel remembers everything.
Yeah, it's a real skill.
Yeah.
It's a real skill. I wish I was like that.
But I remember your mum saying that about you. Were you school captain?
I was school captain in primary school and then vice captain in high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
would you say you've always been a high achiever?
I guess so, yeah. And I don't really know where that came from. Like I was definitely always overweight. So I wasn't this gorgeous girl like the other girls at school who were the surfy girls and they just looked like models. I was always quite overweight growing up. So I definitely had something in me that I don't know. It's a terrible combination because I am very sensitive, but at the same time, I also just wanted to grab life by the hands and just give it a really great shake and just say yes to every opportunity that came my way. But at the same time, I was this bigger girl, and by putting myself out there, I would get criticism along the way. Even if I wasn't bigger, I would have, but I'd get it about my weight. And that was when I was at school and then when I went into politics, and I'd get terribly upset. But I would still keep putting myself out there and putting myself through that pain of the criticism because I think that the pros did outweigh the cons in that sense.
Well, I love that you kept going because that could crush some people, some women.
Yes, and it does.
Yeah.
And I can totally understand. In fact, the fact that I've lost 50 kilos now in the last 3 years, the fact that I get so much criticism now, I actually can understand. I can understand why some women, and every now and then it kind of stops me in my tracks. I'm probably getting more criticism now than I ever have.
Really?
Yeah.
50 kilos is a lot. That is a lot. And you look amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So do you. You're on a bit of a health journey as well.
I am on a health journey. I've lost 10 kilos.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I turned 50 and I had that moment of going, okay, I'm 50. I'm definitely midlife now. I was having joint pain. I had like a chronic bursitis in my hip and I did the BMI test that said I was overweight. And I remember thinking, if I don't do this now at 50, when the bloody hell am I ever going to look after my health and put it first? So I've lost 10 kilos and my joint pain has gone. My bursitis in my hip has gone. And full disclosure, I went on the Mounjaro
me
needle.
too. Me too. Yeah.
And I know that nobody has said it to my face. They might be saying it behind my back. I don't know. And I probably don't really care. Some people are really critical of that, but I'm like, I'm 50 and it's really freaking hard to shift weight when you're 50. And I had been trying probably from 48, really trying to lose weight and really struggling. And so going on the Mounjaro needle for me, it's a shot once a week. Has been a game changer for me and I have never felt better in my life.
Yeah, me too. I started the Mounjaro journey in July last year and that is one thing I do not care about, the criticism, because I've never felt better. And I have seen a little bit of criticism online. I know we've gone on a tangent here, Mel, but people will say, I don't want my tax dollars paying for Mounjaro to be on the PBS. I'm like, but my blood pressure tablets that I was on before I lost the weight, PBS was the taxpayer was subsidising that. And in being obese, I would have been a huge burden on the tax system, in the health system, in the public health system. If I needed all these surgery, problems with my heart. So, it's an easy argument for me. And I've never felt better. And I now am on no medication. And liver functions improved, all that sort of thing. So, bring that criticism on. I'll take that one any day.
And again, I haven't really had anybody say it to my face, although, talking about it now, it may open a can of worms or a door. I don't know.
Put it in the podcast notes because when I was going on Mounjaro, I was searching podcasts. I was typing in Mounjaro for the research and there wasn't a lot. So put it in the podcast notes and then this episode will... Yeah.
Well, I am not embarrassed or ashamed about it at all. I know some people are and they want to keep it a secret, but I'm like I have never felt better and it's helped my chronic inflammation and my weight, my health. I feel amazing.
Yeah. You go, girlfriend. And just by talking about this, if we're encouraging someone else who may have tried, and that's why people will come up to me and they'll say, how have you lost the weight? I'm not going to say just diet and exercise because that didn't work for me. And if you and me talking about this can inspire someone else and change their life, that's only a good thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a girlfriend of mine was telling me that a doctor had said that once you hit 50, it is really freaking hard to shift the weight. If you haven't shifted it before 50,
you're stuck.
That really struck a chord with me. I was like, God damn it. Got to shift that weight.
Yeah.
I never will.
It definitely gets harder as you get older, that's for sure.
So check my BMI regularly as I've been losing the weight, and I'm just now in a normal weight range.
Great, congratulations. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling because that worried me about, getting older and health problems that may pop up because of that not being in that healthy range.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. No, you go, girlfriend.
yeah,
That's excellent.
So now we're going to get back on track. But I love it. Do you know what? I love this. I actually love having the conversations. Let's just see where they go.
Yeah, and the podcast that I listen to, there's some great ones out there. That's just exactly what they do. They go on a tangent and you just roll with it. So hopefully you're still listening to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're getting off the Munjaro now.
Yes.
So you have had an amazing career and a very diverse career, as I said earlier. Now, one of the things I thought was really cool, and we probably hadn't spoken in a while, but I saw on social media, I'm guessing about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, Jaimie Abbott working for the United Nations over in Jamaica.
Yeah, it was only 18 months ago. I left October 2023. So as we're recording this, it wasn't that long ago. I was there most of last year.
How did that even happen? I was like going, here she is now.
Yeah, no, the story's actually not that glamorous. It's very Bogan-like in a way. I was so I speak all around the world. I'm a professional speaker and get paid to do it. And I was in London speaking at a couple of conferences, and friends of friends invited me to an event, and I'd had a few red wines and I met a few diplomats. And I thought, I could do that. I could be a diplomat. I could go work for the UN. And then I went back to my hotel and I literally just typed in UN jobs. And I applied for about 6. I think there were, 3 in Geneva, 2 in New York and 1 in Jamaica, all for a communication specialist, media related. And I said to my other half, I've applied for these jobs. And he said, well, if you get the Jamaica one, we're not coming. We'll go to Switzerland or the US. And sure enough, I had a call straight away. I think it was about 48 hours afterwards. I had a call, and then a week later I had an interview. I was on the Gold Coast actually at Mick Fanning's house. I was doing a retreat there. And
just hanging out with Mick Fanning.
Yeah, well, no, he wasn't there, but it's his house. It was his house on the Gold Coast. And I did the interview, and then 24 hours later I had the offer. And they wanted me to start straight away as a head of media, as a spokesperson on behalf of the International Seabed Authority, which I knew nothing about, had to learn very quickly. And I had the best 9 months of my life. It was just incredible.
What made it incredible?
Oh, it was like being a politician, Mel, but being anonymous. So when I first got there, I became really good friends with my international colleagues from everywhere, all over the world. So there were 169 different member states, different countries that made up the International Seabed Authority, and the staff were from everywhere, and I just loved the lifestyle. So I then became friends with my colleagues' wives, and they were wild, and I started to let my hair down. I think up until it's kind of like this line in the sand. Up until I went to Jamaica, I was a little judgy. I wasn't wild at all. I wouldn't go out, and I mean, I still always love to go out, but I was always cautious. I think, going, I can't make a fool of myself.
From being a politician, do you think?
So.
And
being a journalist, military, very conservative type roles and perceptions of me, and I just always thought, I'd love to go out and drink, but I always just was very conscious of not letting my hair down, so that you kind of feel restricted. And and then I became friends with Jamaican women, and that was the cherry on top, just as far as opening up my world, going to parties. Every night was a party. I lived in this I spent all my salary basically on rent, and had this 3-bedroom penthouse to myself with my own private pool on the rooftop outside my bedroom. So I'd have parties, and became friends with the British High Commissioner there, the Mexican ambassador, all the deputy ambassadors for Argentina and France and Germany. And we just had an absolute ball. And it's just a time in my life that I don't think I'll ever have as much fun like that again.
Because you were from a young age quite serious, as you were saying, a journalist, and then went into politics. You were out there living your best, reliving the life that you never got to do.
And I am now too.
Yeah.
I feel like looking back, even at uni, when I got to uni, I looked around the room, and we were doing a Bachelor of Communications at Charles Sturt in Bathurst. I was 18, and there were about 80 blonde, beautiful looking women who all wanted to host Getaway, that show. And I thought, shivers, I have to compete with all these women. And so I literally did not party. If you ask people who I went to uni with, they'll say, oh, Jaimie was a snob. because she was always off doing work experience. She never came out to the pub, and I didn't. I mean, I wasn't a complete stick in the mud, but I was always at Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, ABC in Sydney trying to get my foot in the door. And it worked. So by the time
It has worked. Look at your career. It's amazing.
Yeah, but at the suffering of my social life.
Yeah.
So I'm just making up for lost time now, I think. That's probably my my psychoanalysis of the best life I'm leading now, because I didn't really do that. And then I got into politics and was under a bit of a microscope, as you are, no matter what sort of party or walk of life you're in with politics, you are under a microscope a little bit.
Yeah.
And people expect you to behave a certain way. So I couldn't just go and be a loudmouth, drunken idiot like I could be now. I don't know. I just feel a lot more free, and maybe that's an age thing too, Mel. You kind of give less shits as you get older what people think.
That is the joy of being older, is literally giving less shits.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I feel like I've been beaten around a fair bit in my life, and I'm saying that metaphorically. I've had breast cancer. I know Starting Got You Back Sister, there were some detractors there that really shook me. That was really hard. So I understand where you're coming from in terms of, you think, I've got really good intentions here, but not everybody necessarily is supportive.
Oh, actually, I remember when you first set up Got Your Back Sister and the Sister Code, actually, specifically, I think someone said, it's just so she can promote her photography business. It was something like that. And then the next thing you announced straight away at the same time you were giving that up.
Yeah.
And so, I do remember that. And I just heard that on the sidelines, and I can only imagine what you experienced, doing something that major.
It's been interesting. It's been a real life lesson for me, is that not everybody's going to wish you well. And that has been a tough lesson, I will say. And actually, I've done a lot of inner work to be okay with that not everybody's going to wish you well. Not everybody's going to have your best intentions in heart. But the other beautiful thing about getting older is that you also recognize the beautiful people that do have your back and that you hold them close.
Yeah.
I went through a period where I was like, I need to have 100 million friends, because I was like, if it's almost like if I just spread myself between all these different people, then I won't get hurt.
I understand that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whereas now I'm like, no, it's actually learning to love and appreciate those people who really do have your back and having trust and faith in that, rather than being, I guess, on alert.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, let me ask you this, and this is your podcast, not mine. Do you think you are 100% don't care what people think, or you still do?
No, I think I'm better at it.
Yeah.
I think I'm a lot better at it than I was.
Yeah.
And
me
that's
too.
been a lot of inner work. And I'm like, do we ever get there? I don't know. I really care what my husband thinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those that matter.
Yeah, those that matter. You really care what they think. And, I have a couple of trusted friends, and I'm like, if they pull me up and like, hey, Mel, you know what, bloody blah, which actually hasn't really happened. But if they did, I'd be like, okay, I trust that. I trust you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey's one of them.
Yeah, that's great.
Trust her with my whole heart. Brooke, you need those people, right?
You do. Yeah.
But that also helps with those moments when you might have the detractors.
Yes, which there always will be there. That's for sure.
You know what? Life lesson, hey? Yeah. Now, when you were in politics, I remember, because maybe I do have a good memory.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I remember years ago when you were in politics, and I remember you were saying that one of the things that really shocked you, surprised you, and probably hurt you was it was actually women from within your own party that were the ones who were the most critical, as opposed, because we kind of think, the men in blue ties or whatever that saying was, whatever, the odd men, but I remember you saying it was actually women.
Yeah, yes. And I find that generally now.
Yeah.
I think I might have said this to you recently when we had a cup of coffee, Mel. I think the sisterhood is alive and well when you're not a threat. So you go, girlfriend, 130 kilo Jaimie, you go. It's so great to see you out there. And all of a sudden, 78 kilo Jaimie, it's like, why are you putting your boobs out all the time? Why are you using that filter? And actually a neighbor of mine messaged me recently and said, I just think we need more authenticity. Why are you using this filter? You mean the same filter I've been using for 3 years?
Yeah.
So, and it's always women, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, no one had a problem me using that filter when I was bigger. So, yeah, it's very, very disappointing to the point where I'm questioning the sisterhood. But I also don't want to question it too much and then not allow other people in because I don't trust anybody. You know, you kind of don't want to be like that because that's a very sad, lonely life too, right?
Do you know, absolutely. I went through that phase about 5 years ago. I went through that phase and I had to do a lot of inner work around that.
Oh, so you did, like of shutting people out because you didn't trust?
Because of the trust thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you trust easily?
I used to. And it's interesting. I remember having sessions with Charlotta Tharap, who is my amazing mindfulness guru.
She's amazing.
I know. Yeah. I love her. Look her up, the Mindfulness Clinic. She's amazing. And I remember she said to me one day, she's like, Mel, you let people in way too easily. She said, you're way too open.
Yeah.
And she's one of those trusted people for me. I really love and trust her and value, you know, our conversations and her wisdoms that she shares with me. And so that was, you know, a bit of self-reflection to go, why do I do that? And it's like, because I want to be liked. I want to be liked. So I'm just going to let you in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm a bit like that too.
Yeah. Whereas now I'm probably more guarded, to be honest. I know I really am. But by being more guarded, I'm more trusting with those people that are
in your inner circle. Yeah, that's really special. That's good. Yeah.
Life lesson.
Yeah. I mean, I probably still haven't learnt that lesson at my 42 years of age where I still do trust people too easily and get my heart stomped on. But, you know, it's a constant work in progress.
It is. We're always a work in progress. Charlotta says that. What does she say? We're perfect, but there's room for improvement.
Yeah. I like that. I like that spin.
I know. I love it too. And I say that to myself sometimes I'm perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, say it 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So how did you go when you were in Jamaica and you had your hubby on your 2 little boys at home? How was that?
So much judgment.
Living your best life. But
Speaking
then
of
also
judgment, yes. Yeah. I've had it a couple of times actually because when I was in Afghanistan for 6 months, deployed there to Kabul, I had it a little bit then where people were sort of saying, and I didn't have kids then, you know, you're so lucky you've got a partner at home. But then it was next level because my other half is a stay-at-home dad currently, like he's the primary caregiver. And even my own family would message me and say, you're so lucky you've got this stay-at-home partner, Matt's, you've got him. I thought, well, if I was the man going over to Jamaica, would people be saying, you're so lucky you've got, a beautiful wife at home to look after the kids? Maybe not as much. So I had a bit of judgment to my face, behind my back, that I was reckless, that I didn't care. I just was putting my work first. Things that we wouldn't say about a man going fly in, fly out workers or going on a deployment or any work assignment. Yeah. And that has kind of, even my youngest, he's just turned 5, he will even fall into that trap of guilting me. But this morning I had to get up for a B&I breakfast and he's like, work again? You're going to work again? And I have to, and I have no doubt that's just society. I don't know where he's got that from, but it was kind of seen as mummy's going to work again. So I'm just trying to reframe his mindset, that work, because, I just don't want that. Him growing up thinking that we have to be tied to a job or unhappy about that. And I want him to reframe that.
Yeah. Do you ever say anything like, that you're providing for your family?
I don't tell him that. I don't tell the kids that so much, but I tell myself that. Yeah. I mean, lately I'm just working around the clock. I've got events on that I'm emceeing and I want to say yes to. And I'm not saying I get it right. Like sometimes I've gone weeks.
None of us get it right.
No. I've just,
but none of us get it right.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, because of all the evening events that I've been speaking at, I think I've only put them to bed 1 or 2 times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And I normally have a non-negotiable of no work on a weekend. So Friday night, like tonight is a Friday, I'm emceeing an event, but I won't work the rest of the weekend. But sometimes I do have to. Sometimes I do get an interstate trip. I was in Brisbane last weekend and I was away for the whole weekend. And so that does happen. So I feel a little guilt about that. I try not to.
Yeah. It's interesting. Really, one of my dear friends, her hubby has the opportunity of a lifetime leading a $1 trillion construction project in Saudi Arabia.
Ah.
So he's over there in Saudi. And I go, it's interesting. I don't know that people are judging him. He's like out there. People go, oh, he's providing for his family, which is why I asked you that question.
Yeah, no one sees it that way.
Yeah.
They're always, you're so lucky that you've got a partner. How can you leave your boys? Didn't you miss them? I even get it now when I tell people who've just met me that I was in Jamaica and they would say, did your hubby and kids come? No, they didn't. And it's a few judgy, shocked looks.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so interesting. Just trying to reframe how we view women who are providing for their family and they are the main breadwinners.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting, as much as we talk about women supporting women, women uplifting women, the progress of women, we still have a way to go.
We do. And I think we are our own worst enemy. And we are insecure. I think men are too, but women, we all have a lot of insecurities. And I think that is projected onto people like me who are going and doing things like going to Jamaica and living my best life and taking my dream job.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, if people can't do that, and I know there are circumstances, of course, that prohibit that. So I'm very, very lucky in that sense that I, as a human, have that privilege of being able to do that. But yeah, I think we need to just reframe that as well.
I think it is so cool. You went over there and did that and worked for the UN. Years ago, I had this little thing in my head going, I'd love to go and work for the UN. And I was looking up jobs in the UN website over in New York. I wanted to go to New York.
Oh, everyone wants to go to New York. New York or Geneva, they're the two hot spots.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because when I had been in Nepal years ago, we were in a village, which was not a touristy village at all. It was a very local village, but it was when I was over there with Three Angels Nepal making this documentary about sex trafficking of women and children. And at the hotel where we were staying, which was a very basic hotel, but in their terms, very fancy. And there was a man there and he was from the States, and we just got talking to him like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm from the UN. He said, I travel, come over here, every 6 months or so, because I just need to keep an eye on the area, make sure people are okay. What do they need? What are the services like? And I remember thinking, what a wonderful job to actually be going over to third world countries and actually just being there to go, how can the UN be of service to that area?
How rewarding.
I know. I remember thinking that so cool, and I was like, I'd really like to do that.
Yeah, well, never say never. You can do anything you want.
Yeah, well, I ended up starting a charity in Newcastle, but that was, off the back of that.
Oh, that's all you did instead. I'm joking. That's amazing and that's massive. So you should be very proud of what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So with your time overseas and in Afghanistan and Jamaica, what did it teach you about your identity and your purpose?
Yeah, gosh, that's deep.
It is deep, yeah.
Look, I mean, in Afghanistan, a different sort of thing. Like I was there as part of a deployment in the military for 6 months. I saw some incredible things, and I put my hand up once again for every opportunity, such as going to orphanages and volunteering. And I got to see women being granted access to education programs so they could educate their own kids. I saw women part of the government, and it was incredible. I know it's gone backwards now, but just looking at what I got to experience and be a part of, the war-torn country and just the difference we were able to make. I did see the good news stories, so that was different. But I guess coupled with going to Jamaica, I just realised we are just a blip. We are a blip. We are just one tiny thing in this big global world.
Yeah.
And if I can just make a difference in a small way, and if we all could look at life like that, imagine the magnitude and just the great things we could all do collectively. Yeah.
Just as a side note, it's interesting that you said that about we're just a blip. We have a member who works in national intelligence and spends a lot of time over in Washington, or has spent a lot of time in Washington. And he said to me, I was like trying to drill him one day, about Australia's relationships with other countries. And he was like, no one really cares about Australia.
Yes.
I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, we don't even really rate.
Yeah. I know a lot of my colleagues in Jamaica didn't even know where we were at all. I had to show them on a map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember being kind of really shocked by that. And he goes, no, it's a good thing. He said it's actually a good thing because I think I was asking him about China and, is there, I don't know, country relations. And he couldn't say too much. He's like, I can't actually really go into this, but we really don't rate.
I love how you were trying to crack him.
I totally tried to crack him.
You trying to get national secrets from him.
He would not give in. Yeah, funny. So you do embody a lot of courage and conviction, but there's a lot of people out there that struggle with courage and conviction for many of those reasons that we've talked about, being exposed, being seen, being criticised. Where do you think your sense of bravery comes from?
It's such an interesting question because I don't see myself like that at all. So if I'm putting that out there, I feel like I'm faking that. So I don't know if that's reassuring for someone to hear. And you're not the first person to sort of label me as that because I do take things to heart. I get incredibly upset, especially when those close to me criticise people whose opinions I do care about. I get really, really upset. And every now and then, even in politics, just a random older person in Nelson Bay where I was living would criticise and it would really get me down, but the rest I wouldn't care about. It was a random, they would just strike at any time. And yeah, I guess, I don't know. Why do you perceive me as that out of interest? Because I definitely do not think I've got courage or bravery.
I think because you've done amazing things.
Oh, okay.
But I think because you've done amazing things, and so many of us would love to do amazing things, but there's something that holds us back.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I go, you have pushed through that.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie and say it's been easy. I even remember when I started my online business, and that's when I started dancing on Reels. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see what I mean. Every day I'm just having so much fun. And when I first started doing that, I was a counsellor on Port Stephens Council in New South Wales in Australia, and my colleagues were firing criticism and they were saying, what, either to my face or to my hubby, what is she doing? Like, she's dancing around with Reels. That's so unprofessional. And for a minute it made me question. And that was kind of like a bit of a line in the sand about who I wanted to be, because I obviously am that person, but I was oppressed. I was in a political party where I couldn't say what I thought. I support same-sex marriage and I couldn't come out and say that, for example. I didn't have to say that I didn't support it, but I just wasn't allowed. I was restricted. And in the military, it's very conservative type world as well. And I still am in the reserves, but I just think now I'm really showing who I am. And there's still noise, there's still criticism, but I think I focus on the positives, the pros, rather than the cons. And that gives me courage to keep going. And you hear from people that you've inspired. I recently recorded a podcast episode talking about my weight loss journey and just the feedback I had from that. And I felt very vulnerable because I have imposter syndrome and I have insecurities as well, as any woman has. But I just focus on the positives, and that keeps me going, keeps me encouraged to take leaps all the time. I think that's probably what I do to be able to keep doing amazing things, just focusing on the positives and drowning out. Once I get upset about them and move on, of course, I drown out the negative noise.
Yeah. So women that are struggling with confidence, what's some advice you would give to them?
Oh, it depends. If it's in regards to speaking, that's a whole other topic, and you've done my courses, but I just think number one tip there is record yourself. Record yourself and play it back. Yeah. It's awful, but you will just think, wow, I'm talking too fast, or I'm moving my hands too much, or I need to inject some pauses. That's going to help you be a more confident speaker. And I think public speaking is really one of the fundamental skills in life. You know, it really, he or she who can put their point of view across the best wins, whether it's a job interview, whether you're convincing your kids to clean up their room, whether you're trying to get a client to sign up, you're trying to escape a terrible situation. If you can communicate really well and be convincing and persuasive, you're going to get what you need, generally, of course, with some exceptions. And so I think if you can really focus and invest in, I feel like I'm biased here, find any public speaking coach and invest in presenting and public speaking skills, that's going to give you a lot of confidence. And listen to self-help books. I listen to a lot of mindset. I just finished reading the Let Them theory for the second time, and I need to keep reading it actually because you forget. And that's by Mel Robbins. Have you read it?
I've bought the book. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, okay. Even if you just listen to her podcast, Mel Robbins' podcast on the Let Them theory, it's so simple, but it's a really timely reminder to just, if people are going to get upset, let them. And that's another drowning out that negative noise, because that negative noise is always going to be there. And for you to be confident and just keep going for it and thinking about the next best goal you have in life, in business, you just really need to focus on that Northern Star and just really train yourself to drown out the criticism, because it'll never stop.
And have the vision. Keep coming back to the vision.
Yeah. And I just want to have fun now. Everything I do, I want to have fun. Even I get asked to do emceeing a lot. I'm emceeing an event tonight. I'm like, that looks fun. Yes, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my decision-making process now. Am I going to have fun? Is that going to be what I want to do? Am I going to meet some amazing people? Yes, I am. I'll do it.
Yeah. I love that. So in saying that, talking about confidence and people that might struggle with it, have you had those moments where you have had the self-doubt?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you touched on imposter syndrome, but do you have any specific moments or times that you could share?
Yeah, because I get criticism all the time. I can't stress enough how much I get.
Wow.
Yeah, like every day.
Really?
Every day, because I put myself out there. Every day.
Like, are people messaging you or?
Yeah, so they're either messaging me direct and saying, stop using a filter. We need more authenticity. And then I put that back to them and say, well, actually, we just need more people to show up and share their message. And too many people are worried about how they look. Their hair's not done, their makeup's not done. They've got acne or they're breaking out, and they're not going to show up and share their message with the world. So put a filter on.
Yeah.
So I really back that. But then other times I've got friends who I've always regarded in my inner circle. That's when I was bigger. All of a sudden firing shots and saying, oh, you're wearing too much cleavage. Someone said that to me this morning. And I've never felt this great in my life. And so I think people are a bit insecure by that.
And you do look wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thanks. And so, I think I've just covered up for so long. I've always trying to wear black and cover up things. And now I'm not covering up. And that brings criticism because people see me happy. And I've been triggered by people in the past, gorgeous women who are confident. I remember Abby Chatfield. She used to trigger me because I'm like, she's living her best life, selling these dildos, making a shitload of money. She's got a podcast earning a shitload of money. She's got a beautiful partner. They're in a loving relationship. She's confident. She'll call people out. And I think because of my own insecurities, it triggered me. So I stopped following her. So that I can only put myself in the shoes of people who are firing this criticism at me. I was at an event recently and I was just being my usual Jaimie self, telling these two young barristers, they were young lawyers, barristers in training, about Jamaica. And I had a mutual friend listening, and I've always been the same personality, and I've lost weight, put on weight. So that's why I'm humble about it, because I know I could put on weight again at any time, so I don't take that for granted. And she sort of walked off, and then another mutual friend said, so-and-so was feeling very uncomfortable about the crazy stories you were sharing about Jamaica. And
really?
So and I thought, really? Why? That's the sort of story I would have always told. I've always been the same person to tell embarrassing stories that show humility, stories that take the piss out of myself, but now all of a sudden it makes you uncomfortable. And so people have definitely changed. They're some of the people who I would have thought were in my inner circle are either taking any opportunity. If there's a spelling mistake in a caption, they jump on it straight away. So they're watching and waiting for me to fall. And that's a really uneasy feeling. And that does make me doubt myself. And right now, as we're recording this, I've had a bit of a compound of that. Of people close to me who I always thought were in my inner circle criticizing, or any opportunity. I'm doing all these amazing things, but one ball might drop and they'll focus on that. And so even just talking about this now is calming me down, going, yep, bring it back to basics. What do you want, Jaimie? What do you want out of life?
What's your vision?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
You're never going to please everyone. You're never, ever going to. You're always going to have people whinging about whatever you do. So you just have to let that go and know you can't control their behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A life lesson, my friend.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm very, very trustworthy, and I will share things about myself.
Which I love that, because that's your authenticity.
Yeah.
That's it.
But then you get your heart shat on, though, when you do that. And so that's just a lesson I keep learning. And I'm attracted to alpha, ego, maniac people. That's just in life. I always just find, often they're males, like platonic males that I'll meet. And I see this pattern and it's just amazing. And we just bounce off each other. And usually they're entrepreneurs, women as well. And then it fizzles out or you clash or... Yeah, so I'm just being aware of the patterns and just trying not to alter my behavior for others. And like I said, just sticking to my guns. What do I want out of life? What's the end goal? And then kind of going backwards from there. I think that's important.
Yeah. How do you stay personally grounded?
Oh.
Would you say you're grounded? Actually, that's probably the first question. Would you say you're grounded?
I definitely think that I'm not grounded, but I am humble. Can I do that? Is that possible?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm always humble, always taking the piss out of myself. And I just think that people feel relaxed when you do that. And you can really take the piss out of yourself and laugh. And I've got a lot of friends who do that. I was at a conference last weekend and one of my friends, we'd had a big night the night before and she turned up to this conference and she was wearing a slip underneath. I won't mention her name. We both know her. And she was wearing a slip under this dress and she turned up and the slip just fell to the ground. And she was just laughing, it was just like, because it was a see-through dress and it just fell to the ground in the middle of this conference. And she was taking the piss out of herself, laughing, telling everyone. You know what I mean? A lot of people would be like, oh, no, God, I hope no one saw that. She was telling everyone and giving us all a laugh. And I think I definitely want to keep being like that.
Because people forgive that, right?
Yeah.
It's when you know what, when we were talking about the Munjaro earlier, and like if you try and hide it and cover it up, people just go, oh, guess what? I think she's on the weight loss stuff. I'm like, yeah, just own it.
Exactly.
I am.
And when I first started losing the weight, some comments were like, oh, it's so great to see you losing weight. I'm glad you haven't done it the cheating way or the wrong way. What's the wrong way? What is the wrong way? And I'm like, well, actually, if you're talking about weight loss injections, I have. There is a bit of judgment around that.
So much judgment.
Yeah, and it's always women, always.
Yeah.
Men are chilled. Men are chilled and less judgy.
Yeah, because they're probably like, no, I don't give a shit. What's the surf like today?
And I'll often post photos even to LinkedIn. It might be me at a charity event and there's a bit of boob action. There's a bit of cleavage. And and then my female friends are always like, don't post that. It's too inappropriate. It's unprofessional. It's not very board member-like and not CEO-like. And then you've got men going, nah, put the boobs out there. We love it. Sex sells. All the women I follow on LinkedIn have got their boobs, I'm not saying that necessarily, but they are a lot more black and white and less hung up over that stuff. And you've got to admire men for that. You really do.
Yeah. Do you know what? I just love that you're really real. Just keeping it real. I love it.
I think it's an important message because people think that if on the outset, because we only share the highlights on socials, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They don't see us having a screaming match this morning with the whole family, the kids, because we're running late, stress, me yelling at them. They don't see that. I'm not putting that on socials. And I think it's important. I don't have it all. People think if they follow me on socials, haven't met me, they'll think that I have it all. They think I'm looking great, got, whatever they think about me, but I don't. I'm constantly, you don't have all the balls in the air at the same time. When my business was going so well, my career, everything was going well, my weight was I was so heavy and I was tired all the time. And now I've got my health going well, but I might have neglected my friends. I haven't called my friends up. Or when I'm really putting effort into that, my relationship's not going well, So I just think it's important. You can have it all, but definitely not at the same time. There's always a ball that's dropped, that's on the ground or rolling away.
Downhill really fast.
And I really want to put that out there. And it's a good opportunity when we're doing an interview because I don't talk about it on socials. It's always, I've just had 300 people join the wait list for my course. It's all the highlights.
Yeah.
It's not, wow, I've been laying over here with a stomachache for 2 hours and I'm feeling guilty because I haven't put my kids to bed or I had a screaming match with my hubby this morning and because we were all trying to get out the door. That's the stuff you don't see and that's definitely a big part of my life. Well, thank you for sharing that now because you have done so many great things. I love you went to Afghanistan. 2011, 6.5 months I was there.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You've done some really cool things.
And I'm also the least military person I know.
Yeah.
And that has come with criticism, definitely in the military, especially from Army over the years, and even Air Force as well. People go,
Yeah.
you just like, shut up. You're not doing how we're meant to do it as a military officer.
Yeah.
And so that's, I guess, also you're always questioning yourself, should I change my behavior? And you're never going to please everyone anyway. But yeah, I definitely want to put it out there that it's behind the scenes, it can be a shit fight. Yeah, so don't ever compare yourself to someone I follow all those gorgeous influencers on Instagram. They look like they have all their shit together.
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't.
Yeah. Absolutely. So to wrap up, what would you like? Do you ever think about this? What your legacy may be in the world?
Oh, I think if I can, where I am right now as we're recording this, and it's interesting because we did this a couple of years ago and I was in a different place then. I was thick in the newborn stage and I was just
I remember
crazy.
you were
I was emotional.
You were doing a master's.
Yes. And that's the other thing. I've got an MBA, I've got a master's, and I've got a bachelor. I've got 3 degrees, but I only just passed them.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. I only just passed and had to do a few research because I had a newborn. I was a full-time master's. I was a counsellor on Port Stephens Council. I was working full-time. I had my business. We were building a house. That 2020, COVID, it was great. The worst year of my life as far as stress levels go. I think that's around the time we did, maybe 2021. I was breastfeeding or 2022. Yeah, time flies. So I think now at this point, where I am at psychologically, if I can encourage other people to block out that negative white noise, it's always going to be there, and just think about what you want. And just every time you do anything, whether you post on social media, whether you meet someone at a coffee shop, who you're meeting, if you decide to go to an event or not, if you're always just thinking, is this aligned with what I want? Is this for me? Is this going to be fun? Am I going to meet some new people? Am I going to be inspired? Like I interviewed Michelle Payne recently.
Yeah.
You were there at that event.
Yes.
And that was something I ended up doing it for free because I wanted to meet her. I wanted the photos of her and I thought this is something I really want to do.
Yeah.
And just kind of asking yourself that, is it aligned with what I want? So I guess my legacy would be to encourage women in particular, because I just think we're particularly bad at this stuff. But women and men to just really go for it. Whatever you want out of life, just go for it. I say to my 5-year-old all the time, because he always says, you can't. I'm like, no, let's think about how can I do this? And I say, you can do, and that's the message I've actually given him since he was young. I always say, you can do anything. What does mummy always say? You can do anything. And you really can. I mean, obviously people have different privileges and disadvantages in life, but yeah, when you're making any decision in your day, if it can be, does this align with what I want to do? Then do it.
Yeah. Well, Jaimie, thank you so much, Jaimie Abbott. I love that you came back on Hey Soul Sister. And you're right. It's so interesting being in a different place just a couple of years later.
Yeah. I mean, you could interview me again in 3 years. We'll probably be in the same studio because it's a fabulous setup that you've got here.
Thank you.
And I could be saying something different. Maybe I would have just gone to, I don't know, somewhere else in the UN. I don't know. But I don't think that far ahead, really. And you've asked me kind of those questions about being mindful and grounded and strategic. I don't think that far ahead.
Yeah.
I really just think a couple of months at a time ahead.
Yeah. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
What Charlotte would say, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, I love that. You even sound like her when you say that.
Oh, I love that, especially because she's Danish.
Oh, when Charlotte speaks, I just get calm. I went to an event for the Hunter Business Women's Network and she was the speaker and I just felt so calm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all in what you tell yourself, isn't it, in the head?
Oh, darling. Oh, darling, you're perfectly imperfect.
I love it. I love it.
If anybody wants to actually find out who we're talking about, jump on the Mindfulness Clinic website. She's an amazing woman, holds lots of retreats around the world, which I've done a number of them. You know what? I always learn something new.
Yeah, it's great.
Jaimie Abbott, where can people find more about you and your Paid to Speak courses? Quickly talk about that.
Yeah, so twice a year I open Paid to Speak. I think you were the first round 3 years ago. So I've had over 200 people now. paidtospeak.com.au. You can join the wait list. Doors open June and November every year for 8 days. But failing all that, just type in Jaimie Abbott, 2 I's, Jaimie, and then 2 B's, 2 T's. You'll find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, my website. You can't miss me.
Thank you so much for joining us again. And I can't wait to see you in another couple of years on Hey Soul Sister.
Likewise.
Or just over at the pub or the club.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been great.
Thank you. Hey Soul Sisters. In this episode, I have special guest Jaimie Abbott. Jaimie is a powerhouse of courage and authenticity. From her military deployments to working with the United Nations in Jamaica, stepping into politics and starting her own business, she's done it all while juggling motherhood and a major weight loss journey. In this episode, Jaimie gets real about the highs and lows of facing judgment, especially from women, and how she learned to drown out the noise and live boldly on her own terms. We dive deep into topics like resilience and authenticity, public speaking, and redefining what success and confidence really mean.